Hello. I see that I only have one bar. Am I frozen? Hey, Cher. Hey, Frank. Yeah, I'm late. I'm late. Hey, Lake. Um, can anyone hear me? I mean, I know I sound kind of not so good, but I'm noticing that StreamYard's got me at one bar. So let me know if I'm not frozen and everyone can hear me. Rhymezilla, hello, my friend. How are you? I know you told me, and you're right. I was trying to send. I always think I have more time. By the time you get through the changes that have somehow in the last however long I've been gone, everything's different. Couldn't find where to put the playlist. Forgot to download the thumbnail. Hey, Jill, good to see you. Oh, I meant to send it to Randy. I got to meet Randy today, guys. And I meant to send it to Randy. Hoping maybe he will jump on here with me. Let me see. I think maybe I did. Well, Randy, you're gonna get it twice. I didn't. But yeah, I feel unlike meeting Randy. It was like, you're online with people for so long that you just you just kind of already know them, it's a weird thing. So it's super cool. Hey, James. Hey, Hope. Good to see you guys. Julianne, hello. Yeah, let him know. And anyone, I don't allow open panels because I just don't care for certain people to jump on my lives. But if anyone wants the link, just say so in the chat and I will send it to you. It'd be great to have a small panel. But again, I'm kind of picky. But everyone here so far is good. Hey, Jinx. Good to see you. So today, Kaleidoscope. Oh my goodness. Hello. Okay, thanks, Frank. Hey, Dee. Good to see you. It's been a minute. I got some of the court documents. It's very underwhelming, I will say that. And I have a feeling that it is going to be very underwhelming come February 20th at 8:30 a.m. Thanks, Cody Spear, for his sentencing hearing. So today, Garrett Kenneth Kirts entered his plea of guilty to the charge of murder. Indiana statute is murder, which is intentional killing of another so it is the maximum, statute that we have in the state of Indiana is this. And he pled guilty to it. He will receive 55. He pled guilty, like by agreement, for 55 years consecutive, which is the key word. Concurrent means that he would be serving his 55 years for the murder of Nicole at the same time as serving 55 years for Ray Hanish, but that's not what happened today. It's consecutive, which means he serves his, I believe it's still 85% of his sentence of 55 years for the murder of Nicole Bowen. And then after that's over, he will begin serving his 55 years for the murder of Ray Hanish. And what? Hey, Randy. Let me know if you want the link, or anyone else that wants to jump on. I don't allow open panels, so I'm not going to put it in the chat. I guess I could, and I'll just like not let people up that I don't want up. And y'all know who I'm talking about. You know, there's only a handful of people that I will never be on a panel on my channel or anyone else's. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to do it in the chat because it's just so much easier, and then I can always just control who. Oh Lord, I almost left my own studio. Hold on. Okay. Here's the link. Hey, Lisa. Good to see you. Jerry rocks. All right. We got the OG crew in the house tonight. I know I sound ridiculous. Got home from Colorado. There's Randy.
Here I am.
Hey.
Hey.
Let me make sure no one else hears an echo, because sometimes when I have guests, I have to like change things. So say a few words.
Hello.
Chat, let us know if it's
because I got my volume off, so
if there's an echo.
Yeah, on top. Yeah.
It sounds good on my end.
Yeah, I don't hear no echoes on the YouTube channel side.
Okay. James says we sound good. Awesome.
Cool.
It's like, okay. So yeah, I was telling everyone that it was so cool to meet you in person, but it felt like I'd already known you for like 7 years.
Oh yes, it's true. I was glad to see you there.
Yeah, I know. I was touch and go as always.
Yeah.
But I only work on Mondays and Thursdays, and I work very long days, and it's really hard for me to like reschedule those days. So but this was one of those things that I could not miss. And yeah, so it was me and Randy, Cheryl, Nicole Bowen's mother, and Miss Dottie, of course, and Cher, and Kim. So it was really good to meet her in person too. There was no one from the media there at all. Like,
yeah, they didn't kind of. It wasn't last time, so I think that all the start. I think they're not really into his case.
Yeah. Which is sad for Ray, but that's just been the way it goes, like Ray's case it's been a struggle to get coverage. Actually for both cases. I know there's people out there that like to say that there's tons of media coverage but really for Nicole and Ray, it's been nothing compared to the Delphi murders, it's sad, but yeah. But today I was telling everyone he took a plea of 55 years consecutive. The sentencing hearing and the judge accepted it. And the sentencing hearing will be on February 20th at 8:30 a.m. bright and early.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So but obviously that is a time when the victim impact statements will be read. I do encourage anyone that can write one, even if you are not feel comfortable reading it. It's still important to have those as a part, because they become a part of the record of like the official record, which means that if by chance in how many years he would possibly get parole, which I think he'll be dead by then, because I'm pretty sure he'd be like 100 and something. But those victim impact statements can impact a parole board down the road. That's just like in just general knowledge. But you can also have a advocate of your own read them for you. Like I could read them. You can assign anyone to read them for you, or you can have the victim advocate through the White County Prosecutor's Office to read them. But they really do, not that they're going to impact the actual sentence of this, but they will be a part of the permanent record. And the more, people you have that have been impacted by this murder and that you can show that in a permanent record, the better, So looks like we've got Crimezilla popping in. Hey, girl.
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. It was a good day. Hey, Truth and Justice. I know, right? Finally, justice for Ray. It's a day that, like, man, the difference between Robert Guy and Mark Delgado is just night and day. He was so explanatory to the family. Like he literally, like, he came in within, you got to think, like, I think he took office in January. I think that's when they come in, January, February, and literally had a grand jury, lickety split, and then an indictment, lickety split. Like, this man knew that, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for him, but he knew that this needed to be done, and that all the things that Robert Guy had said needed to be made right for White County, and he really did go above and beyond, and such a nice man to meet him in person, and like the whole office there. But like, Cheryl, she's hilarious. She was so Garrett, like, it was kind of like, did it not take you by surprise, Randy, when Garrett came through the same door that we had just entered, and like court wasn't in session or anything like that? Yes, there were, obviously, the sheriff's department was escorting him, but he just like walks by us, and Miss Dottie stands up,
Well, yeah, well, it's like White County's courthouse don't have a back way for taking.
That's what I'm assuming. I was assuming that they have like a back room, but you got to go.
They could have. That was the only way they could have got him to the kind of like called conference room where
exactly.
lawyer. But it was funny when he was smirking all the way through to.
Yeah. That psychopathic, glib, smug look. Yeah. Looked like he had I've got some super chats. Wow. Thank you, Lake. Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Yeah,
yes, justice for Ray.
That room got remodeled and moved. Some of the seats.
Thank you, Cindy. Oh, thank you, Cindy. And good to see you here. CJK and Angel Bear. And True Crime Red-Bodied Swallowtail. What a name. Randy, fireplace, cathedral ceilings, cabin look. Your house looks awesome.
Oh, thanks.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Hi, Ivy. Yeah. Good to see you guys all here. But yeah, what did you make of?
I was surprised that he didn't try to make a speech today, but that's going to be.
Well, yeah, today was very underwhelming as far as information goes. I think it will remain that way. And that's like, it's a double-edged sword, but for whom is it a double-edged sword? The public, obviously, like, we want to know the details. But in my opinion, guilty pleas are the best way to go. You know, there's no appealing that. The judge went through all of the things that he would no longer have the right to if he pled guilty. And so he can appeal the judge's sentence. But again, it is a plea by agreement for 55 years. So he cannot appeal his admission of guilt, which we all know when cases go to trial. I harp on this a lot. I do love our justice system in the United States of America. But once you are past, actually, really from the get, the victim, the rights of the perpetrator, the indicted murderer trump the rights of the victim and the victim's family. And it's just a sad, cold truth. It just, hey, DePorch, good to see you, sir.
Hey, Mel and Randy, I have a question.
Okay,
what was his general affect? I mean, did he seem sick to it, or just didn't care kind of attitude, or
you know how it is, just smug.
Yeah, that's why it's like we said. He came through with that smug smile.
Really?
Yeah, and he just sat there and knowing that his attorney said he already filled out the form that for the plea deal, and
yeah.
And I'm so sorry for the families. It's just, these people have no idea what they've done to this family.
No, like that was not, I think they, hey, Slim, by the way, good to see you. I'll be back in your chat soon. I've been gone in Colorado, but, no, I don't think there was ever anyone else involved. I think at most there was some parties thrown, and that was evident very early on from talking to the family, who Ray had been spring cleaning just prior to his murder, and he had actually sent pictures of his apartment to his mom, just like, oh, look what I got done today, kind of a deal. And so I think that he premeditated Ray's murder, and that's what he pled guilty to. So I think that, and I said it from my very first coverage of this, it felt like he targeted him. And I actually went undercover myself on dating apps to try to find Ray's profile and any that Garrett Kirts would have been using. And I'm pretty sure I found both of them. Ray's was a little bit more obvious, and it was very, very sweet, very looking for white picket fence and marriage. And Garrett's was, typical. I'm almost positive it's him. There wasn't a identifiable picture of his face, if that tells you anything, on the site. But by the description and the cowboy reference and all of that, I'm pretty sure it was him, the age and everything else fit. I'm pretty sure that he targeted him, like he set out to find a gay man to murder. And I think he did it for multiple reasons. I don't think we're going to find out those reasons. We can guess at them. But I think that he staged the scene to make it look like what he had originally told. Actually, that was Newton County. What he originally told the Newton County investigators that took his admission when he confessed to this. Of course, he did that with Nicole too, and look how that turned out. It wasn't some just impromptu girl fight gone wrong. And neither was Ray's murder of a rough sex act gone wrong. And by information I have that I won't release, but I'm not going to release anything in the autopsy, but what I did find that really jumped out was the staging. It's like the kid took everything that he didn't know anything. It's like if you don't know anything about certain worlds like BDSM or, Odinism or something, something that you want to like mimic, you just kind of throw it all in, but there was actually no evidence of anything on Ray that would lead you to, like, there was just nothing that really made that stick, if that makes sense. I don't want to get into many details, but I think that he did that. I was in a bedroom and that door was closed. And then Garrett did what Garrett does. And he threw a big old party at Ray's house. And I think that multiple people were there. I think that Nicole was probably one of them at some time. And Talitha, more than likely. And I'm not sure of who else, but there was signs of a big old bash at his house. It was trashed. And, they could have, I would suspect that none of them even knew that that Ray was in that back bedroom, in the bedroom at all. We will never know, that's what happens when there's no jury trial to get all of the details. But again, still think I think it's for the best. It's best for the family. I know it kind of hurts when you don't get. A lot of families want that closure and they want to hear, those details. But Garrett is going to be giving a allocution of guilt statement. So he's going to be speaking on February 20th. So who knows what he's going to decide to say, like some they don't have to say anything, I've seen that multiple times where they just, sometimes the record will literally say they stood silent, like they had nothing to say. But, Garrett has something to say. So he will be reading or giving a statement on February 20th, along with obviously Miss Dottie, I think Cher, and the judge mentioned one other person. So they have blocked out an hour time for this sentencing. And most of the time, obviously a judge has final say. And today he agreed, like he accepted the plea by agreement that the prosecution and the defense had set forth toward him. Now, I went to try to get the details of that plea, and it is still locked in Odyssey. I went to the court, and with White County, you have to go there physically and get the records. They're not digitized to where they can email them to me like Carroll County or other counties. And they're $1 a page. So I didn't get all of the pages because there was like 90, but I was able to sit in this very hot room that smelled amazing because it smelled like the library, and get the major, like, I didn't get all like the entire case file, but a lot of it, like, you're just, you don't really need. So I got like the major ones, but honestly, like, there's nothing in them, there's nothing in the, because it was a true bill and the judge did not allow, which is common to not, I mean, yeah, it's pretty common for that to be denied. But it says the grand jury of County of White duly and legally impaneled upon their oath or affirmation do present that there is sufficient cause to determine on or about March 13th, 2019 in White County, state of Indiana, Garrett Kirts did knowingly or intentionally exert unauthorized control over the property of Ray Hanish, to wit, a TV, with the intent to deprive Charles Ray Hanish of any part of the use or value of the property, which is contrary to the statute. So he pled guilty to that. Same vernacular, did knowingly and intentionally take unauthorized control over a blue 2008 Pontiac G6 with an intent to deprive Charles Ray Hanish of the vehicle, which is contrary to the statute. So pled guilty to that. And then then the grand jury impaneled upon their oath or affirmation do present that there is sufficient cause to determine on or about March 13th in White County, state of Indiana, Garrett Kirts did knowingly or intentionally kill another human being, to wit, Charles Ray Hanish, which is contrary to the statute 3542(1)(1) parentheses 1. So, yeah, and that was a true bill. And his attorney was not given access to at least public. Like, it wasn't. I haven't read all these yet, and I don't plan to read them tonight. But
so Mel, do they know what the I know that grand juries you can't find out what they were presented with, right? Do we know what the final straw was that actually, because I know it took a long time for this to come about. Do you know what changed that? Did somebody talk, or,
No, I personally think it was Prosecutor Mark Delgado.
Okay.
Because as soon as he replaced Robert Guy, he literally moved forward. I mean, this was he was indicted by a grand jury. So you got to think of like how I'm sure Miss Dottie would know. This happened on February 28th of 2023, and he had just taken office in, I believe, January is when term for prosecutors begins. I'm pretty sure it's January. So I think that because, and and it was like, it was so, I don't know if he saw if he saw my change.org petition against Robert Guy and all of my postings and all of my talk. I don't know, but I advocated to get that man out of there. I think he was a complete a-hole. He treated the families like absolute crap. And when someone acts like that, when they say things like, "Oh, just take the justice for Nicole," as a prosecutor, are you kidding me? And then, well, with that lifestyle, something like this is bound to happen. Like, who says that to a mother? Like, I mean, just like things like that. Like, he didn't want to do this. And don't get it mixed up that Prosecutor Drinsky wanted them to move forward with because chronologically, Ray was killed on the 13th, is believed on the 13th. His body was found on the 17th of March of 2019. Nicole Bowen, I believe it was the 29th, and her body was found on the 30th. So chronologically, it would have benefited their case if Robert Guy had to move forward with prosecuting him. And he literally told them that they didn't have a case for murder, like he just bought hook, line, and sinker this, rubbish that it was a rough sex act gone wrong without, and that's the thing, like on the podcast, I got to talk to Ray's ex-boyfriend, current, like still friends of Ray. I got to talk to his family, his a niece of his that was like one of his best friends. Obviously his whole, everyone was willing to talk to me because the narrative of Ray was just being so, just the negative connotation and just the horribleness from one prosecutor's office. And I think that Mark Delgado came in and he wanted to make it right. He called me, like he literally called, and I was like, why not? It was an unknown number. I'm like thinking it's, because I get calls all the time after Greeno put my phone number out there for everyone. And so I was kind of like short with him, like, who is this? He's like, I'm the prosecutor of White County. My name is Mark Delgado. And I was like, huh? Like, because it was so out of the blue, and like, he just was like, I just wanted to let you know that we're moving forward. Like, we are charging him with murder. And again, in Indiana, we don't have first degree murder. So it's murder is intentional. Like, you have murder and then you have manslaughters. You have voluntary, involuntary, and what's the other one, Randy? There's one more.
I can't think of it.
Might just be voluntary and involuntary, but yeah. So yeah, he just came in. I mean, and I love it when prosecutors use grand juries. I think that they should be used way more often than they are. Because a prosecutor gets to kind of lay out their case, which is practice for an eventual trial, behind closed doors. And yeah, he called it homicide, but not murder. But it was more than that. Hey, Aspen. I'll put the link in here one more time if anyone wants to jump on. I don't allow just anyone on here, so this link is only for people that are not on my shit list, which is very short. It's very short list. But yeah. But it feels like something is in play. Well, I'm not sure. Hi, Honeybee. I'm not sure what you're referencing.
Suspicions now that
Did seem odd for him to not take it to the box. Yeah. Deb was asking me that question of why do you think he did go to trial with this? Why do you think he took it? Because it's not a good plea. I mean, really, like, he would have got 55 years at trial easily. But there was no, in Indiana, you have, the prosecutor would have to put forth a motion for death penalty, and then it would have to be accepted by the judge. So I think that he just does not care. I don't think he cares. What would he be? Somebody that's good at math? Do the math of 85% of a 55-year sentence that would have started in 2019. And
I was wondering if it was concurrent. So like
it's consecutive. So
okay. So he won't see the light of day then.
No, he has 110 years.
Oh, good.
Total. Yeah. So even 85% of that, and that it.
The longer
There are. The only thing that I have that I want to see, and usually it's stated within the court documents, especially, or you hear it when you attend, if he has a chance of parole, because some will be like 55 years and they can be eligible to apply to have a hearing before the parole board at like 20 years. And I've not seen any of that in either case. So I don't think a little less than 47 years. So 47. So that's 90. I'm terrible at math. 94. I don't know.
Well, like the judge said, the parole board will have all the record that came from the court and be up to them to.
Yeah. So the PSI, is something that probation is the one that does it. So he's completed the paperwork for the PSI, which is just a pre-sentencing investigation. but it's already been agreed upon with the 55 years. So he has an interview that he needs to complete, and he has 30 days to do so. Prosecutor Delgado brought up that he has a right to be sentenced within 30 days of his admission of guilt. And literally that's all that was said. Who was it that asked him? Was it his attorney? It was his attorney and the judge.
Yeah.
And basically he just said, yes, I did kill him intentionally. And that's all the details that we got. Now, who knows what we're going to get in his statement on the 20th. You just never know. Okay, so Ivy's coming through with the math. 85% of the 110 is 93.5. I don't think matters at this point. He's not getting out. Yeah, he's not getting out, and that's the, that's really the silver lining for the family, and that they don't have to go through
this
They don't have to go through appeals. They don't have to go through post-conviction relief. They don't have to go through what Cheryl is having to go through right now, and her family and the loved ones of Nicole with Ashley Garth. They don't have to go through that. It's done. And
where is he at? Is he in prison?
No, he's at the White County jail. He's in my county.
And they're going to keep him there until after the 20th.
Got it. And then he'll go off to prison.
Well, he's already in prison. He was transferred because of this case. He was in Newton County for a while, and then White County. And then he'll go back to, I believe he's in Pendleton where he's serving his sentence for Nicole.
Okay. And I was going to say, would they keep him there or move him?
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I would assume.
I didn't either. I was just curious.
Yeah, he didn't. The judge didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know in Indiana, like after you're sentenced, you go to Plainfield. It's like the where they do the assessments and placement, and they do things to like figure out where you're going to go. Some people are there for as much as like 3 months or so. I think that's how long Dabaya was there.
That's when they do the psychological testing and all of that.
They assess where where they're going to send you to which state corrections department they're going to send you to. From Plainfield. But I'm pretty sure at least from the murder, because I haven't really seen, I'm really been involved with anything other than murder cases in Indiana. They go to Plainfield for their like intake, basically into the move from county jail, to state prison, and they're assessed there, and then they're sent to one of the, what is there, 4 in Indiana: Wabash, Pendleton.
I think about 4.
I think there's 4.
Yeah.
They also house from other states as well in Indiana, in case anyone didn't know that. This account, good to see you. Yes, I am too. Change from how it was. But yeah, Deb had asked me that about why do you think he just took this plea? Because it's not a good plea in his favor. I mean,
he did because he had no other choice. I wonder that he'll still get the same time in prison. I wonder.
Maybe they presented him, his attorney got evidence that was non-deniable.
Yeah.
Could be.
I mean,
yeah, that's a possibility, James. Like, I really don't think the kid does care. I think he's just resigned to the fact that he is going to spend the rest of his natural life behind bars. And, I also think that I want to be careful of what I say here, but I don't think that he wanted the details of Ray's murder to be public knowledge.
That's a good point too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that it's unfortunate, and I think that hatred breeds, when you have a hatred for a people because they're different from you, and you grow up in a community, a small rural community, that doesn't allow, like, it obviously you can go against the societal norm in these small counties, but to be gay in White County, like,
Yeah.
And in Garrett Kurtz's family unit in particular, and so from a very young child, these young children that are brought up, I mean, I was you don't have it's so sad. It's so sick, really, that I have met like friends that were completely, their families denounced them, never to speak to them again. They're literally you're not my child anymore, because of their choice. They believe that it's a choice, and
Right.
until you come back to the Lord, like, they don't speak to him. There's no, I don't understand that. I have 2 children, and there is nothing under the sun that they could do. They could murder someone, and I'm still going to love them, and I'm still going to visit them in prison. They're my girls. So I don't understand the churches, and how people are, actually go along with this type of behavior. I mean,
yeah,
it's sickening, but it happens all the time. And like, so when you think about all of that, religious trauma, that I don't find it biblical. I mean, I've argued that point of, like, because the points inside of the religious ideology, and I'm talking about church, not necessarily the Bible, is that, you're anyone that is not an Adam and Eve is that's a choice that you've made to go against nature and against God. My argument was always, but the Bible says that if you believe the Bible, like, we're all born sinners. So if you're born, and if you think this is a sin, and again, this is just their opinion that being gay is a sin, then but you make it, you're telling me that you can't be born gay. Like, you don't make any sense. And I mean, I had teachers, and like, I got in trouble over asking questions on this. I got a detention for it. Literally. Like, and so, I think that plays a big part in why Garrett didn't want to go to trial, and why he was really willing to accept any plea. I heard Case Gullible say that, he told her that he thought the sentence was going to be concurrent. But obviously that wasn't true. Thank God
good
for that. Yeah. Thank you, Truth and Justice. But it's still that, stigma. Like, yes, we're getting better as a society, but, in certain areas, and it's, yes, according to the Bible, it's the same as being jealous. Yes, like, God doesn't see sin on a pier. It's not a pyramid of like what's worse and what's not. So if you take the sin of idolatry, taking the Lord's name in vain, coveting what your neighbor has, God doesn't see sin, according to the Bible. God does not see sin as any. It's all the same, and that's where my problem with the church lies. Obviously, I have many other problems with the church, but yeah, that's the main one. Is like, you're putting a restriction. Like, you're saying that God has a scale of like what's the worst, and that's just simply not biblical at all. Welcome to Sunday school.
I just read that.
I don't know. I think I'd get kicked right out of that Sunday school church.
Ivy's so funny with the glasses too.
Yeah, let me get my glasses out. Yeah, I don't believe in organized religion at all.
We can always count on you, Ivy.
Yeah, CJK. It's exactly. There's no degree.
Yeah. It's
Hey, Melissa.
society has it where you have to do this way, and if you don't, then it's not right. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, and I was very much taught that you don't go outside your race, you don't go outside your gender. Oh wait,
Right.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, and like we were made to memorize scripture from a very young age. I think I knew Psalms 23 when I was like 4, like the whole thing. But it's okay. Like here's an example. Just it's really, and it's like really, be not and I don't know if I'm KJV, so that's what I grew up like. So it'll sound weird, but be not unequally yoked. It's just left at that, right? But the rest of the verse, which is only a few more words, with it says, so do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. But that didn't fit the agenda. You know, the unequally yoked was with, you know, someone of a different race, same sex, obviously. Like, and so really taken out of context, because the rest of the verse is the context of be not unequally yoked. Unequally yoked with whom? And it's unbelievers. So that just means that if you believe in God and that Christ died for your sins on the cross, then you should not be with someone that is not of that same belief. That's the biblical, like the verse. So you see what I mean? Like that's where I don't like organized religion, because things are taken out of context. Like the speaking in tongues for Pentecostals, totally taken out of context of the entire Bible, like
Right.
To a damaging degree, and kind of very bizarre. But yeah, we're kind of getting off on a Sunday school tangent. But I do think that is why we're not seeing a jury trial here.
And I think that's a good point. I really do. It's, I mean, it probably would make him look much worse. And in many ways, I'd like to think he's not doing it because of the victim, but in many ways, he doesn't care. So I think he's doing it more because he knows he has to be in jail and prison the rest of his life. He's got to live with the fact of that, and that'll be over his head. The kickback is harder on him.
Yeah.
Once he gets there.
Yeah, I think that
I'm just glad that the families are getting justice. I'm not going to say closure. I think if you lose somebody you love, you never get that closure. And I can't say that I know how anybody feels. I haven't. I mean, my 2 sons are grown now. We almost lost our youngest twice, and just the emotions from that were, I just can't even imagine. So I do have a heart for the ongoing, but I do think that I'm really happy for the family that it's being acknowledged.
Exactly.
It's not being ignored anymore. And, you know, and for that, there's a little piece, extra little piece.
Yeah. And I really do. I mean, I really feel like It just took a prosecutor that saw an injustice happening before he even took office.
And thank God for that.
From the bottom of my heart. And he is so sweet. So,
Aw.
you gotta remember Miss Dottie, and like Cher is, they're the poor things today. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I rented a car to get to the hearing, and got a flat tire on the way there.
oh no.
I know. And it was like, thank you so much, Hoosier Cold Cases, for helping me out. I'm trying to figure out, I'm driving there. I'm like on the interstate, like trying to figure out a way to, because I was like, there was a big, I don't even know. I bigger than a double wide. It looked like a whole warehouse was headed through Brownsburg. And like, I'm not kidding. It had like a 6-team sheriff's department escort. I kept trying to go on side roads to get around it. No such luck whatsoever. Half an hour it took me to get through Brownsburg, which if anyone's been to Brownsburg, they know that's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but,
and if the families need any help financially, I can chip in some money to help to rent a car or whatever.
I know that we had the GoFundMe that I started. It listen.
Oh, you still have that?
It's still up. Yes.
Okay.
It is. I'll grab the link for it.
Okay.
But I think they have enough money to cover it. I do feel bad that like
okay.
The rental did not come with a spare, and they believe that Miss Dottie said that they have to pay for it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But so got a flat tire. Literally was like, are they going to make it? I'm pretty sure the rental company or the place that they found to fix the tire brought them to the hearing.
Oh,
literally got there just in time.
Oh,
hello, Mr. Aspen.
Hello, Aspen. Good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to pop in and hear what you guys were saying, and I really wanted to, I said it in the chat, but I really wanted to thank you guys for being in the courtroom today, because, I know shares in the chat. I know how much your support since the beginning has mattered. No.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Once you, both families, like I was already talking with Ginger and Cheryl and like trying to help them when we found out about Ray, which even though chronologically it was before, it was after. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't. It was overwhelming because it's like, oh, now I've got like a whole nother murder to try to do on my very first attempt at a podcast. Like, I've never done this before. I've never, and I tried to go the podcast route because I didn't want to be on YouTube. And it was just like, oh my, but I had to do it, and it was like, what a blessing. Like, I have a whole family, I have my family who I love dearly. And now I have like all of Cher and Roxy and Miss Dottie and Cheryl and Ginger and like just the hugs today. And Miss Dottie, she's just the sweetest. She's just so precious. And like it almost made me like tear up because as everything was,
I'm sure it meant a lot.
I knew I was going to do this. As everything was, as the court's proceedings are going on, she reached her hand back. I'm sitting right behind her and just grabbed a hold of my hand. And she did that with every single person out there. And like, she's just so precious. And I'm so overjoyed for her that her son he's so deserving. Like Ray said, injustice makes me crazy. And they know that he would have done this for them, and Ray, even though I didn't know him, he changed he left an impression on me that I will carry with me, and my kids benefited from it. Everyone that I come in contact has benefited from it. And it's a simple saying of be careful as to not leave permanent scars on other people's heart. And like such a it's simply profound, and that was his personality. And to see a guy like that be treated with such disregard and disrespect by Robert Guy was infuriating. And I know that it was infuriating for so many people. So to have like a hero like Prosecutor Mark Delgado come in and literally like, am I not right on that, Aspen? Like their term starts in January.
Yeah.
So January of 2023, he takes office. And by February 28th this is when the grand jury reached their decision on the indictment.
Right.
That's how quick this man was like, we're making this right. White County is making this right. And
I think he started pursuing this right away.
Oh, I think that he had probably already he knew that he was going to do this before he took office. Like he came in ready to go. He came in ready to go and he made it happen. And it's people like that make a difference in this world that really impact the world for many, many years to come. And people like Ray with such a big heart and just that giver's heart, of giving of themselves. And unfortunately, when you have a person that is kind and at heart, like they're just a kind person, they can be taken advantage of. Ray was taken advantage of by multiple different people, con men and women. And it's sad to the loss of life like that. And I do believe, obviously it's backed up by the fact that he was charged with intentional murder. But I'm here. I'm just going to stop the camera because that's so gross.
I want to say one thing. Just,
Yes.
It's Ray's case has, always been personal for me just because, I'm not Ray Hanish, of course, but, I grew up a gay kid in a really rural town, a really rural county. And even though it wasn't Indiana, it was Southern Illinois, which, for anyone that's driven through Southern Illinois or rural Indiana, they can be interchangeable, geographically wise and, also mentality wise. So, what happened to Ray, isn't something that, couldn't have happened to me in my life. And just to see the way that he and his family were treated by the first prosecutor, it really just disheartened me so much. And I questioned whether Ray would ever get justice. And so when the new prosecutor came in and things moved forward on his case, I was so impressed by that prosecutor, and it really did make me realize how important local elections can be. And also, I want to say, as much as what happened to Ray is horrible, I wouldn't have known about Ray's case if it weren't for Delphi. I think like a lot of people probably that aren't that don't live in the area. But the thing I've been the most impressed with since I've come into the true crime area and YouTube covering Delphi is you Hoosier women are some badass women, because the women I've encountered in this community, as far as Dottie and Cher and Becky Patty and Jerry McClurkin and countless others, have impressed me more than, and I've never met any of you, and you all have impressed me more than most people I've ever met in my life personally. So I have to give a shout out to all of those strong women, because y'all are incredible.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, they're, and that's like in this world, I know this, Randy and Aspen. Yeah. It's you can become very jaded, very disheartened by humanity, the depravity of humans, whether they are the perpetrators or the perpetrators online that re-victimize the victims' families. And you can just become so jaded. And then people like Miss Dottie and Cheryl and so many others, Jerry, I mean, just so many of the mother, like Charles's mother, Denise Allen, I mean, just steadfast and so loving and kind, and like to be able to have a front row seat to see Miss Cheryl and Miss Dottie come together and form a forever friendship and family out of a circumstance that was known. It was known right away that Nicole was somehow not linked to the murder of Ray. That was solely Garrett, but after the fact. And then I think that for Miss Cheryl to be like, the grace that they both had and the love that they both had in their hearts, like overwhelming. And then to watch Miss Cheryl, especially because the family of the delinquents were present in court, and they had the audacity to approach her in the courtroom, like in the courthouse, outside of the courtroom, but still inside of the building, like literally, in my opinion, accosted her. And the grace that she showed them, because I would have punched them in the face and gotten kicked out or permanently removed from the premises, like literally, of I'm sorry for your loss, but, which negates the whole sorry, but my kid didn't do, my child wouldn't do that, and just like the grace that she had to not like literally murder them. Like, oh, I would have just wanted to smash them, and I would have wanted to punch them in the face, like, oh. I want to answer Anna here. I have stated from the beginning, I think that it's backed up by the little information that we do know, that is Ashley Garth's Facebook page. They were not together. He had assaulted her within a couple months prior to this. He should have been in prison and should have been in jail and not being able to bond out, especially after he, violated the protective order that was put in place by the judge and then bonded out again. Actually, none of them really should have been. They all had warrants or they were out on bond. Like, how sickening is that? But that, it's like that double-edged sword of our justice system, But yeah, no, I don't think that Ashley Garth was there at all. And if you read the, I think it was in January, where he took her cell phone, and her cell phone was found in Ray's home. But I think by what she released on her Facebook, I really don't think that Ashley Garth was even present at Ray's house. Now, do I think that she didn't know after the fact, much after the fact, like after the 17th? I think she knew, but that's just my opinion. But I wanted to answer that and set that record straight that I do not believe that Ashley Garth was at, and I never have, and I've stated that from the beginning. I don't believe that she was there at any time. Now, who the other players, I do think that there were some of them were there. I would bet money on the fact that Talitha Beckley was there. For sure. Old Mama Bear. And yes, I do think that there could have been some other people charged. I don't know, like, what would they be charged with? Say that they could prove that they knew that Ray had been murdered in the bedroom, that they were coming to a house. Again, remember, they're all addicted to a drug of one form or the other, whether it be heroin or meth. That they knew that they were being invited over to party, and that Garrett told them, yeah, I murdered him. He's in the back bedroom. Like if they could have proved that, in a court of law, what would they be charged with?
Well, it's not a crime to know about it, to know about a murder and not report it.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
think they would have had to have proved something as far as the burglary or something, if they could have done, like, you know, desecrating a corpse, something along those lines. But burglary probably could have been their best bet, but I don't know how they could have proved it.
yeah.
Other
And
than, you know, the car was found at Christmas, you know, at was it
I
Palace?
guess assisting a criminal,
Yeah.
but
During
this
the
is
act of a
for, I mean, I know that for immediate family, they don't have, like, there's no charge for immediate family. I don't know about, I mean, you probably know better than me. I know that I've seen it for immediate family, like there's nothing they can be charged with for knowing about a murder.
and maybe it is state by state. Maybe I might be misspeaking.
I know it is state by state, but I'm pretty sure you're right on Indiana. Like, I don't think we have like other states do. Or it's not false and what's it called? Aiding and abetting.
Well, kind of like what happened in the Samantha Soto Matthew Garrett case in Texas recently, where the dad showed up and handed things to the son, who I guess the son had actually committed remember, she was the pregnant the 9-month pregnant woman and her boyfriend.
Oh yes. Okay.
So I know that they charged the father with, basically, assisting after the fact, but I guess they would have had to have proved that the other actors in this case, what action they took to assist.
Yeah. Well, that, like the Gabby Petito case with the parent, like his parents. I mean, were they charged? I don't think they were charged with anything. I know that's the difference.
They should have got charged because they knew that she was dead.
I know, right? But I don't think that a lot of states have a charge for that. I think.
Yeah, and I know Florida does not.
Research into it, but yeah, I think that's crazy. Like,
right.
That's
You could call me tonight, tell me you did this, and if I don't, and I am under no legal obligation to tell anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't get it. I don't get it. So yeah, definitely, Ivy. I mean, there's a difference between knowing versus assisting.
Right.
And obviously, like, but the vast gap, like margin there from the guideline, the sentencing guideline for assisting a criminal when the criminal assisted committed murder is 6 to 10 years, with like the advisory of, I think, 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, to murder of 45 to 65, or life without, to death penalty. We are a death penalty state, which I hardly ever put anyone to death. But I'm glad that we are a death penalty state, not because I necessarily believe in the death penalty, and it's not because I don't believe people should die that commit heinous murder. It's simply, it's not. It sounds like this sounds terrible, but it hardly ever happens. It puts the family through hell for a longer period of time, more and more appeals, and it's usually commuted down to life without the possibility of parole. I mean, and so, but I do think it gives prosecutors a better bargaining chip than some other states have, and I think that allows death penalty states to get more guilty pleas by the perpetrators, which keeps them out of the appeals courts, which is always good. I'm telling you. Like, I never thought, like, until these last like 3-4 years, when I've said this multiple times, like when my aunt was murdered, for years and years, and this was the attitude of my family as well, we were robbed of justice because he killed himself. But now I am so glad that man killed himself, and I am so glad that as an adult I got to learn through newspapers and through conversations that he actually laid out there and suffered for, I know I sound like a horrible person, but I don't really give a fork. He laid out there and suffered for more than 12 hours because he didn't kill himself right. And like, that's the best justice, because that man would have been out. That was his first offense, you know, like as crazy as it was to literally stalk a woman without her ever knowing it, kidnap her and brutally murder her, and then come to her funeral when they finally found her body and interrupt the entire service, walk up in the middle of it while the preacher is like talking, and take a rose out of the vase that was like sitting there and put a rose on her casket, and then walk out the back and take his nephew into the woods and confess to him, tell him to tell the police. And then this poor kid, I think he was like 15, you know, running around trying to get back to society to tell the police so they can go find him. And it took him a long time to find him because this kid didn't know where he was. And yeah, that's like the best justice. So it's like, man, I'm so glad that he took care of himself, really. I mean, call it cold. Well, whatever. It's just the truth. When you see, because I see his family online, like missing him and things like that, and like talking about how great he was. And just like to think of him being out after what he did to my aunt, which I mean, she didn't know him at all. Like, it was a complete stranger on stranger crime, like stalked her from across the bar, basically, until he got his opportunity, you know. And it's hard to believe that was his first offense, but that's what they said. And that, like, for his family to be like singing his praises and what a great guy he was. And I mean, he would have been out. He would have been out and like about, like, ugh, that would have been awful. Or to have to go to a trial and the appeals process. It's literally emotional torture. Like what Cheryl is having to go through right now is emotional torture. It is horrible.
Right.
Like, it's absolutely horrible.
Right. Oh, and those are another two amazing women. I didn't even mention Cheryl or Ginger, but I mean, I was talking to Ginger this morning. Both, again, they're right there with all of the women I listed earlier.
Yeah. And I heard what you said about, you know, resonate. It really, you know, hit home with you about Ray and the way you grew up and in the town that you grew up. And like, I hope this rejuvenates like hope in the LGBTQ community for others to like see that, like, even in rural communities, like, rights have been made wrong here. Hi, Mark.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I can, you know, I was a little annoyed last week when I was trying to get, I was talking to the White County Prosecutor's Office, basically just trying to get them to contact Dottie and just to give them the details, not the public, but to give them the details on, you know, and I was talking to some clerks from the office and everything like that. But still, at the end of the day, I was like, I'm so grateful for this prosecutor that I'm going to trust their process and what they're doing.
Yeah. And I know that, like, oh my gosh, I don't know who gives the jobs to these big victims advocates that work for the prosecutor's office. I think that the one in White County has been way more helpful than all of the other ones that I've seen. I mean, just a complete, like, with Haley Kelly, like, that lady sucked at her job, just flat out. I did her job for her, you know, until the very last couple months in Newton County, they finally stepped up and like informed the family. But like, I was the one that had to inform, like, hey, just so you know, like, it's been canceled. Like, literally, we're getting ready to leave in the, you know, things like that. Like, prosecutor's office should, you know, really. But again, there is no one there when your child, your loved one is murdered to like sit you down and tell you what your rights are. And these families don't know that all it takes is it has to be in written form. requests, that there is money that the state has allotted, like each county has allotted a certain amount of money for victims of violent crime. And that, and the wording makes you think it's just for a surviving victim, but it's actually for an immediate family. It couldn't be like a second cousin or first cousin or, but there is allotted money available for them. There is, they have the right to certain information, and they have a right to a victim's advocate that is there, that actually does their job and keeps them informed, even if it seems silly. I shouldn't have had to ever be the one to do that in any of these 3 cases that we're talking about. I find that that's offensive, that I had to learn how to be a victim's advocate because the ones that are paid to actually do it don't.
Right.
Like that is your job. Like you are literally the courthouse, like the prosecutors, like that is your job. You're paid to do that. And like to fail at that, it's inexcusable.
Right. Well, and it puts part of the burden then on the families that have previously gone through this to end up being a community for each other, in which they're so insulated that it's not a club any one of them want to join, but they have to rely on each other so heavily because no one else can, 1, understand what they're going through, and 2, can even really navigate what they're going through if they haven't gone through it before or they know how it can be gone through. I was just talking to the grandmother of a homicide victim recently, and that was her biggest takeaway, is that she was like, I know that I can't change what happened to my granddaughter, but I know that I can be there for the family of the next girls it happens to, or girl that it happens to.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a heartbreaking thought in itself. I know that that's how they, I know that's how people can, make it a positive for, to help other people, but it's still a heartbreaking thing to think that they have to go through.
Oh, it is. It's just sickening, really, and like, but it's also like going to Crime Con. I mean, because there's Crime Con has like a online like community where you can really truly like try to, like, they allow you access to case files, and you become a part of a community. Like the one I was in was for Tanya Frazier, or in Washington or like, no, what, Seattle. And I mean, like, to be able to really help, like with every part of it. And like, we were working with a crime analyst to organize the data and had access to it. And like, so I knew that CrimeCon was more than, just because by the connotation of the name, just kind of like Comic-Con, like CrimeCon. But like, having gone this past year, man, I mean, they do a phenomenal job of victim family, victim advocacy first, and like protecting the families that are there. And to see, I'm sorry, but like, I honestly, I don't know that I would get up the next day. Like, you never know how strong you are, and I never want to find out, kind of a deal. And that's why, like what you said, Aspen, is like, it's a club that no one wants to be in. Like, nobody wants to be in that club. Nobody wants to be the loved one of a murdered victim ever. And to see Gabby Petito's family there, to see Yearly Love's family there, to see the Miss Becky there, and Tara, and
Kathy Chapman.
Oh, she was, oh my gosh, like, my heart, like, and even oh gosh, just about broke my ring. Carrie Rollinson, BTK's daughter. All of them just, they're supporting each other and paying it forward of like I got to talk to Gabby Petito's dad, and it's like, I hate it that you're here, but I'm so glad you're here. And like that poor man, like instead of doing what I think I would do is just never get out of bed again and like literally want to crawl in a hole and die. The thought of losing my child, it's just an overwhelming panic, and then to actually have that happen and then to like get up the next day. If you get up the next day, you're a hero. And if you get up the next day and you do something to positively affect future victims' families or preventative, especially in the domestic violence of what like Gabby Petito's foundation, I mean, what incredible heroes they are. And that's why I get so offended. Like I don't like people that get offended, but like it pisses me off so much to hear YouTubers or podcasters or anyone online really to like, oh, well, they're just making money. Like they're just making money off. What are you doing? Like, what? It's so preposterous, and it really just shows their own like pathology as a human to and like have people, it feels like people have just lost the ability to put themselves in anyone else's shoes anymore.
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
Well, unless their shoes align 100% with the thoughts they already had.
Yeah. It's just it's so disturbing. And that's why I'm glad there's people like you out there, Aspen and Randy, and many others that like really are victim first, and not to cause like Ray said, just try not to cause permanent scars on other people's hearts and with the actions that you take. And I get that, like, I don't think that everyone is intentionally just mad typing and spouting off on YouTube. There are some intentional ones. Like I will never forgive Rick Snay for saying that about Miss Becky and Tara, for their accusing them of having the motives of like, I lost respect for them when they're getting paid to go. Like, how dare you, mother forker? I'm sorry. I know that people probably like him here, but I can't. After that, I was done with that dude. How dare you? You make money off of Libby and Abby. And that's their intent. And, to sit there and listen to Miss Becky, like in person at CrimeCon, and know her heart and like why she was there. And like to hear the devastation and heartbreak in her voice when she says, I just don't want my Libby to be forgotten. I wanted to do something to where everyone remembers her for the incredible person that she was, even at such a young age. And for someone to, how dare you say anything bad about that woman? Like,
just the sheer fact that someone could hear those words and what they interpret that she's saying is, we don't want to stop making money off of this. Yeah. That's what baffles me. It can't just be as simple as a grandmother's gone through, if this family's gone through a horrific thing and they're struggling every day to find a way to move forward and do something that makes a difference. And to, and to not have it all be in vain, especially when there's a circus happening around them.
Against all, just horrible, just every day, like just horrible people. Like, again, and they do it in spite of all of those horrible people, and like, I wish there was a community of more people that were conscientious of that, of like, no, we're not going to stand for that. I'm just not going to stand for you acting like that, but it is what it is. I think that I would love to be in a genre that was like somehow separate from most of the true crime community, because I think it sucks.
Right.
Well,
I know even mistakes,
Chaotic.
but like I was looking for updates this morning from the trial, and like there was a Twitter post that, when I typed in Garrett Kirts' name or Ray Hanish, one of the first posts that popped up was basically blaming the deaths on Nick McClellan, which I get that if Garrett had been held from attacking Ashley,
Carroll County.
yeah,
That's
but
nothing to do with Nick McClellan. It has to do with
in the post
Constitution.
they in the post, the person, and I'm not I get mistakes happen, so I'm not gonna I don't know the intentions, but they said Nicole Brown.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna talk about victims, you could at least get their names right.
Oh, there's a news article that calls her Nicole Brown. Like, they didn't even know her name. Her name is actually Nicole Thomas.
Yeah.
But so to at least like say Nicole Bowen, like Thomas Bowen, but like I know I've seen it. Yeah, I noticed that the most with like the Flora 4, where people just like they don't actually say their names, like Kyone, Cariel, Kiara, and Kiana. Like they have names, and it's sad.
Hey, they spelled Garrett's name right in the post.
Oh, did they? They left that extra R off, did they?
Yep.
Of course. Amy, do you have any more impressions of today of like what we witnessed in court?
Well, like everybody says, when we got ready to leave, there were what 6 law enforcement in there, and they thought, wow, what the heck here? Why? It's all the security. I think they were ready for Garrett was going to do something. At least they have enough strong people to took him down just in case.
I know. And did you notice that even Prosecutor Delgado had
a security? Marshall.
Yeah, like he actually like motioned for one of, I think it said Sheriff's Department. I'm not sure. He had a logo and he was obviously with law enforcement in some way. But he like motioned for him to come up and sit on the prosecution side.
Yeah,
like in between him.
I think
Marshall, like Prosecutor Delgado, then like someone with the Sheriff's Department. Wasn't that? Did you see the logo?
I think it was a United States Marshal.
Oh.
And then you got I think 2 undercover officers.
Huh.
And then the 3 deputy court officers. The lady was on our side, where watching that side facing Garrett Kirts, and the other were all over on Garrett Kirts' side.
Yeah, it was so bizarre.
It's like, what is this? He's going to do something, or
I'm trying to like count, because there were some behind us too. They were on the left of us, on the right of us, behind us. Actually, in the.
I think there were 6 of them.
Were there a lot of people there?
No, it does.
We were it.
So how did Garrett look? I don't know if I missed the first like 20 minutes of your live, so I didn't know if you talked about it.
I thought he looked a little bit better than the last time I saw him when he testified, the debacle of him testifying. And if like people think that like his testimony was what got Ashley Garth convicted, I am here to tell you, like, that was one of the only days of that trial that I attended where I was like legit worried, because he was a hot mess. Like he did nothing to help.
And you said he has a new prison neck tattoo?
Yeah. Were you able to read it, Randy?
No, not really. But yeah, there's like when Mel says he's got another tattoo, it's like, what?
Yeah. It's big too. It's like a cursive, like a diagonal name going down his neck. I thought I saw one on the other side too, but no, I thought he looked a little bit paler. He was pale. But I think he cut
down his weight more, but he's got more buffed up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he looked a little bit more like he's been working out a bit, maybe trying to protect himself a bit. I don't know.
He's got time on his hands.
Shaved head, like his head was completely shaved, bald.
Was his family in court?
No.
No. I'm going to try to look at it better, Ivy, next time. I thought I saw the letter C. I know it was it was a cursive and it was a word.
Is it Chris Mathis?
Yeah. I thought it started with a C.
We'll have to look at his tattoo next time.
We'll have to and now that we know that they're just bringing him in like the same doors, because their courtroom is 3 stories, still pretty small, but so I parked on one side, and of course, every door I went to, go to the next door, the next door. So I went from door 4 to door 1, but they have like that many entrances, but there's only one that you could go on where you go through the metal detector. The guard looks at your person, which is a very nice gentleman. And then, so if they bring him up there, there's elevators or there's stairs that you can take to the 3rd floor. And there's 2 courtrooms on the 3rd floor. The clerk's office is on the 2nd floor. And then the main lobby and probation, I think, and some other departments are on the main floor. But yeah, he, now that we know where they're going to bring him up, we can just stay out there and get some pictures of the dude.
Yeah, I was hoping they were going to live stream, because I know sometimes White County does, but
they have it was on their screen, like you could tell where they do it.
It wasn't. I trust me, I kept refreshing. It wasn't online today. But
Well,
White County had two camera feeds.
Yeah,
Neither were online.
Yeah, they have cameras, but you wonder, he's waiting for on the 20th. We might do it live, but it's up to the judge anyhow if he doesn't like it still.
Well, just file yourself a media request there.
Yeah. Hey, Marvels. I know that was the thing, is I went to get, it was a converted event. So I was really hoping that his leaving the scene of an accident had to do with the 2014 death of Stephen Masterson. But it wasn't. So, but the clerks were so nice and helpful, and they were trying to help me to see okay, this is a converted event, but where's it converted from, and helping me, and figured out it wasn't in 2014. So she gave me advice on how to go about getting the information from ISP or the local White County Sheriff's Department, because, and I drove by there today. I don't think I even uploaded the video of it. Garrett could have been lying on his Facebook that he drove by. He was right behind Stephen when he crashed. I think it was, he didn't have a license because he had just lost his privileges, but so it was a moped. He just so happened to be behind him. Okay. And then they'd gotten into Stephen had called him out for his ridiculousness and literally embarrassed him on social media, which to Garrett Kirts, that's enough to kill you, what he's done after that. And so for him to say that he was behind him when I saw you go off the road, and I came and held you until your dying breath and whatever, and waited with you until the police got there, either that's all a lie or he hit him with his truck and caused this whole death. That's my opinion. I know it's moot, but because he's never going to get out, he'd be 100 and something. But I still think that if he did kill Stephen, and maybe I'll write him. Maybe I'll just ask him. Who knows? I mean, he's not going to ever get out. So maybe he would just admit to it. But I just think there's more to that story. So I was looking for that, and unfortunately didn't find it. But what was my point? I lost it. I had a point.
I was with you.
Yeah, now we're all don't know. Huh. Oh well. Where's Ivy when I need her to remind me of my points? But hello, Mr. Johnny Kramer. Yeah, and I think like the main thing is like, there's so many unreported crimes too of rape and assault, especially from men, and gay men at that, because of in small towns, that stigma is still
men in general.
Yeah, I mean, literally, actually, I was watching Love is Blind last night. Like, I'm kind of not, I don't get embarrassed about anything, but yeah, like that's my guilty pleasure of watching Love is Blind, even though it's like the most ridiculous thing ever. The concept of it.
I mean, no, sexual assault is ever good, or
right,
or act against a child, but acts against men or boys are the most underreported ones, and that's the stigma of what
perpetrators know
means.
Too.
You're defined as as a man if you've been victimized. So
right,
I mean,
and
that's a whole systemic problem.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And that's why I was like really encouraged. Like, I know it sounds weird to be encouraged by someone's rape story, but you don't hear it very often from men. And there was a man on the show, and so Love is Blind, they meet in these pods where they can't see each other, and they just talk, and then they decide if they're going to get engaged and get married or whatever. And he opened up about how he lost his virginity, and he was like, I tell everyone that I was a junior and it was this girl in high school, but actually it was on a vacation, and she was older than me, and like she forced herself upon me, and like I know that, and he was even doing that whole dance like, well, I can't really say that. I mean, and just like valuing his experience. Like the girl on there, God love her heart, like she was so sweet. She was just like, no, like that's a horrible thing that happened to you, and that is a crime, and like I'm sorry that happened to you, and that's had to be hard to deal with. And it was like I was glad that they left that in, because I think that there's so many men out there that don't realize that they've been raped,
right.
And this isn't all right. I'm gonna do it. I was raped when I was 14 years old, and I told a family member, and the family member asked me, "Where were you? What were you wearing?" And followed by, "You weren't raped. You shouldn't have been there." And I believed that for a very long, and I still even have trouble saying that out loud. Like it's taken me 20 some years to start to like say that, because I think of I guess that like guilt of like, well, it wasn't that bad. Like, yes, I said no, but like I put myself in that situation. I walk off alone with a guy that I know in another country who's like a foreign exchange student, totally in a situation that like I shouldn't have been in. And I'm this is reiterated to me through my church, my schooling, and the culture that I lived in the Baptist, what I call Baptist cult, of programming girls. And this is the crazy thing of where I finally decided, like, I'm going to start talking about this on my channel, was watching the Duggars, the documentary, The Duggars. Because if you watch that, outside of like my brother is my best friend and he's amazing. He's not any kind of a perv or pedophile at all. Neither is my dad, thank God. But like, everything else about that, the same homeschool curriculum, the same evangelists, that is a look into, that is my childhood exactly. And everyone was like, there's no way you're making that up. But there was this book, and I knew this, that only girls had it. It was part of my homeschool curriculum, because my brother, I did most of all of his books with him too. And we had pamphlets for each subject. They're about this big, and you had like 10 of them you had to get done per semester or whatever. And he didn't have one. I'm like, why do I have an extra? And it was one for just females. And it was just full of propaganda for making sure that you knew that you were the one that was solely to blame for any man, not just boy, but man, that would stumble in his walk with the Lord, because he's tempted by you. So really there was nothing that you could do to avoid it. Like, even, I don't even think you could wear like a potato sack to avoid the blame that was solely yours.
I'm
But
sorry.
there was like one page in this book, and they talked about it in the show, and I literally had to pause it to like during this, I'm watching this, I'm just watching it because 19 Kids and Counting, like I remember that show. I'm bored, I'm watching a documentary. I had no idea how emotionally like impactful it was going to be, but it was actually healing. But I kept having to pause it because it just like brought up all this like religious trauma in this book. And it was circle what is inappropriate about this woman's outfit. And there was like, I'm pretty sure there was like 4 on a page. Like if you open a book and you got 2 on this page, 2 on this page, and I'm like, of course, none of them were actually they wouldn't put anyone in a bathing suit, or
And who cares if they
that
were
would be
doing
like
anything?
children porn, So there's really on the surface, like when you're looking at them, you're like, man, they're all buttoned up. Like, so the first one I got it wrong too. So you're graded on this, and it was a woman in a business suit with like I'll never forget it. Like I know the whole outfit. It had like that. They're popular, so it was like a business jacket loose, and then like a blouse that was literally like up to here and had like some fruffle, and then like a long looser like skirt that went below the knee. And so I'm thinking like, well, like, I mean, I was literally stumped on the first one. I'm like, what in the world? Like it was long sleeve. Like, so I circled the part of her neck that was showing. Like I literally did not know. And because the heels were what I saw all the other women wearing in church, they were just very simple, like ugly heels, because that was all that was appropriate, And I got it wrong. And so it was actually that she wasn't wearing pantyhose on her calves and ankles. And I'm like, as a kid, I can remember being like, but how am I supposed to know that from a black and white photo?
Well, and let's not forget, you should be able to walk down the street fully nude and not get raped.
Not get raped. Yeah.
You should be able to go to a bar. You should be able to go to a bar by
globe.
yourself and not get raped.
I know.
You should be able to go to Target by yourself and not get raped.
Yeah,
you should be able to walk home at night or during the day and not get raped.
Right. You should be able to go to church and not get raped.
Right. You should be able to go. Yeah, you should be able to go to a family function and not get raped.
Oh yeah, that too. Like, and the amount of like men that I saw, like it's just so backward, of like, oh well, go before the church. And like there was this one younger guy, but obviously not, he's definitely a pedophile. Like what he did was a crime, and he just went before the church and like, because he got caught by a family member, walked in on him doing something to, I think she was like 5 or 6. So this is a grown man with a 5 or 6-year-old, gets caught red-handed, and guess what the church decided that was enough? Was that he come to the pulpit and could like tell the church, that he's changed and he's going to go to some counseling camp, where I'm pretty sure they just learn to be better at it and hide
Right.
better. And
Page
then as a church body, I'll never forget this. I was just like, is this really happening right now? Like, this guy just came up after the sermon's over, so you're already upset because now you're there way past lunch. Like, you've been there for 4 hours already. And like, so they're going to have a pervert up on the pulpit to tell you his pervert act that's not going to be reported to the police.
Right.
And as a congregation, we were all to come past him and like shake his hand.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then we'll all show him support and give him validation for his, his penance,
What is going on?
give him the little, attaboy.
We were sitting in the balcony and I'm like, I am not going. And like Marcus, I'm not going either. Like, I'm not participating in this crazy cockamamie. I don't even know. I don't even have words. We lost Randy now too.
I know. And I actually need to go in a few minutes, but
yeah, later too. But yeah, it's a you got like the Catholic Church just I don't know. I'm pretty sure the
moving from one to another.
The Catholic Church, they scare me. The whole priest thing, like the whole even just the exorcisms and stuff, and like all of it just scared me. They scared me.
I watched the I can't remember what it was on. I watched a documentary about the Boy Scouts of America. Oh my! And they almost made the Catholics look reputable.
What? Wow!
Because you talk about an unchecked system. I mean, it was completely self-governed.
So isn't the most children and family services?
Yeah.
Or foster care. It's just a breeding ground.
True.
And like people think that we're human trafficking in the United States. Oh, it's rampant. And like child human trafficking.
Anyone that doesn't think, human trafficking exists, especially even with, because some people think it exists with girls. If you don't think it exists with boys, look at the Johnny Gosch case.
Oh.
That's the case that, I mean, I don't think there's any explanation as far as there not being a human trafficking tied to that.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, that one. And I started before I even ever got online, or I think the first Facebook groups that I joined were the Delphi ones. I joined there in the very beginning of the case. There was one huge, I think there was like 6,000, 7,000 people in it. One huge Delphi group, and then there started to be all kinds of others. But that was like my first experience with online. But before that was like NamUs, and I think something with the dyslexia, or again like keep patterns of things. And so NamUs was just like heaven for me because you can pin it into your Google map. And like I found this pattern literally along I-20 from North Carolina all the way to California. And by the time I got done, like data entry, all of this into the map, and like I'll never forget, like I zoomed out and I'm just looking at it and all of these pins along this map. And I'm like, what in the hell? Because there was clusters of missing, because I put in a victimology very, like a 13, I think it was 8 to 617, and I was looking for certain, female, like I had some things in there to narrow it down, but still pretty broad. And it was like these clusters all along. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, at first I was thinking serial killer. There's no way. There's no way this is a serial killer. And so then I started zooming in on these places, and they all had one thing in common was juvenile detention centers or foster care centers, and then it's like, oh, well, it's probably runaways. I've gone down to one of them when I was looking for a missing girl. And they all just like, they'll run away from these places, and then they just like become homeless around them. But there's no way to account for this many like disappearance. And then there was a case in Tennessee where they actually caught a human trafficker that was targeting these detention centers, these terrible places for children to be in. And it's human trafficking.
Yeah.
And I turned it over to, it was so concerning to me. I called Thomas Hargrove, like he's the Murder Accountability Project guy. And like, he took all my information and gave it to his contact at the FBI, but it's just like so bizarre to see, you know.
It's
like,
not just the U.S. either. I mean, it's as bad, if not worse, you know, in Canada, especially with Indigenous and Native Canadians and U.S. citizens. You know, I mean, when you go out west on some of the reservations, there's very little accountability to some of the missing and murdered females.
Yeah, I mean, I would not. I like it just from the crimes that I have covered in Canada. I would not want the RCMP in anywhere to be anywhere involved. Like, I don't know. And then the low sentences are insane to me. Remember that one guy that literally like tore that man apart like a wild animal in a bus? Like, I mean, ate him. I mean, he just freaked out on a bus, like a Greyhound bus, and he ate some of, I mean, just everyone from the bus like ran out. They locked him in there, and he just like completely obliterated this man in this bus in front of everybody. And like the RCMP show up, and like they don't really want to get involved, you know. And like, or the one like the one guy that ended up being a mass shooter, murderer, the RCMP, like Canada, was like, oh, well, he has got, so they just literally like locked the doors and just let him go. Like, because they didn't want to have, they thought that, well, we don't want to get killed. Like,
what is that, Uvalde? But
that guy, like, he literally is out now. Yeah. How do you ever let someone out that did that? Like, I don't get it. Scary. Oh yeah, Native women. It is, Ivy. It's so gross. Oh, okay. This account has something to say. They push a new thing called minor attracted. Oh my God, I hate that. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to CJ about it, and like, she was just, that sets, I don't get it. That sets the LGBTQ community plus like community back. If you were to add pedophiles to that, because like just with the DSM-5 alone, like, what are you doing? Like that
fork that.
Yeah, you can say it. Like, I mean, that is such bullshit that, and I've seen podcasters and like other people like trying to, so it was started by a professor, like at a college, this whole minor attracted person, like, which is just absolute bullshit. Like, I am sorry, but they do not deserve, like, they don't belong in the LGBTQ plus community whatsoever. Like, that is taking, and that's what CJ was saying of like CJ Beyond the Rainbow, like, like, what are they thinking? You know, like, who would ever be in support of this in our community? Because it's taking like it's setting us back. Like what? You know, like, I don't know. It's disturbing. Trying to normalize pedophilia.
And that sounds like a very fringe attempt to do something to get attention.
I think so, but
I don't think anyone with a sense of logic would ever even consider that.
You'd be surprised at the. True. You know, that's why I say it was started by, like, I traced the origins of it back, and it was like this one. I can't remember what college it was. It's a well-known college, but I just don't remember which one. But
you know, education can always make you smart.
Right, I know. Educated beyond their intelligence is what I like to say. There's so many people that are educated beyond their intelligence in this world. Ooh, sad, but it did. I mean, I think it's kind of petered out now, but it did gain. You know, and especially like I've talked to Ivy about it in the patient, like, counseling, psychology aspect of it. And there's a couple podcasters that were all about it. And I mean, I was like, finally in the chat, I was just like, I really liked you guys for, I cannot get down with this. And to watch like all these podcasters, like who would have been aghast and like, they never would have produced anything in support of pedophiles, to be like, oh, I see your point. And like, oh yeah, absolutely not. No, I can't, I'm not even going to listen to this. Like, this is crazy. It's a wild world out there, I'll tell you. Well, I thank you for coming on. And
yeah, no, I do. I appreciate it. I'm, sorry I have to like hijack and jump in, but
no, it's great.
Put me on.
No, I was glad you came on. Do you have any questions or anything that I didn't even look at?
No. Now, are you planning on being there on the 20th?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was figuring that out. I'm going to have to get out of here at 6:30. Yeah, that is way earlier than I ever get up.
Well, no, I
that
appreciate
means I'm going to have to get up at 4 a.m. because I have a ritual in the morning where I have to get up and I eat my breakfast and then I take a nap. So I know it's so weird. I've done it for like almost a decade now. Like, so no matter what time I have to be up, I get up at least 2 hours prior to that so I can eat my breakfast and take a nap before I actually have to get up.
So weird.
So to be out of here by 6:45, I'm gonna have to get up like 4:45, eat breakfast, and take a nap.
Well, I appreciate you letting me come on. And again, thank you for being there today because, like I said, I know how much that meant to everyone.
Yeah, I was glad to be there for them.
And same to Randy. I didn't get a chance to say before he dipped, but
it was so great to see him up there too. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take off and let you say goodbye to everyone. But thank you, everyone in the chat as well, and have a good night. Okay.
Thanks for coming up. I love him. He's so cute. But yeah, I really don't think. I mean, literally, it was underwhelming today. But at the same time, it's kind of like an oxymoron of like underwhelmingly awesome because, he's not going to be able to appeal this. So he's locked in. Me too. You do it too. Oh, damn. Drink my caffeine and go back to sleep. Oh, yeah. I don't know what it is. I think I always wake up, like I wake up all night long, but I get like super nauseous in the morning. Like and I hate it. And so if I get up a couple hours before I'm supposed to get up and I eat something like sugary, really, or even just like peanut butter, doesn't have to be like full of carbs, but then when I wake up later, I don't feel sick. No. But I'm looking over my notes. The judge looked really young. That was kind of surprising, I guess. I don't know why I think judges should be old, but that's not really a thing. So he's 26 now. And when asked, did you kill Ray? He said yes. And he was asked just basically a series of questions that he answered yes to. There was no details really given. Like I said before, 55 years consecutive to his 55-year sentence for the murder of Nicole Bowen. I mean, he just asked him the basic questions, and I think the only thing that'll be kind of like, what in the world? Just because I was there at Garth's trial and saw him on the stand, testifying against Ashley Garth. And God, he's such a prick. Like, he walked in and was like, you could tell, like, he was giving the family like a look like, I got you, you know, like, I'm here to help, like, even though like you're the murderer, motherfucker. Like, he was just he's so smug and he's so glib. Like, he is like the epitome of those two words. When psychologists talk about those two words, like, just like picture Garrett Kirts' face. I'm pretty sure that some of it may not be 100% his fault. I think that my nephew has this where there's a nerve in his where it's adorable on him because of course he is beautiful and he's 3. But when he smiles and like the more excited he gets, like he has like a palsy in his lip, and they did like therapy and it just didn't take. But it's an adorable little but I think Garrett has that. Now that I've seen my nephew, and like obviously he was not born when I first saw Garrett, but I think that he might have some of that. But you can see it in his eyes, like in his just like boldness to look at them, you know, like boast. Like Anthony Devaya, he did not look at a single soul when and I wanted him to look at me so bad. He didn't even look anywhere but at his arms, you know, and where his feet were walking. And like most of them don't, you know, and yeah, not Garrett. So it'll be interesting I don't know. You just never know. Like, because they can go like BTK. If you watch how he handled his guilty plea, like he took great pleasure and was sickening to even watch, you know, a recording of it. And there's been other killers that have done the same, you know, gone through every little detail of their crime and laid it all out. So I don't know what to expect from Garrett Kirts, to be honest. I don't know if he's gonna he very well could, you know. I'm leaning towards he won't, because I don't think he's going to want that to be a part of the permanent record. So I'm assuming he's just going to say something very shallow of like, you know, I'm trying to remember what he said to Nicole's family. I don't know that he said anything other than just him on the witness stand for Ashley Garth's trial, which I'm telling you, like, I felt like that was a bad prosecutorial move. Like, he came across as such an arrogant, which he is, and aggressive, very aggressive and like frightening, you know. And I think that Lori James, her attorney, like that was one, she did do a very good job of her interviewing him, because you could tell like she was almost kind of like trying to, and he made it really easy because he came off so arrogant and aggressive in his vernacular. Like he was just so like, I mean, it was like hard, like it was like, oh my God, like I can't imagine being talked to like you know, like this is like front row seat to how a domestic abuser talks, you know. She did a good job of like pulling that out of him so that the jury could see it. But fortunately there was plenty of other evidence that convicted Ashley Garth other than Garrett's testimony. But that was literally the only time in that 5-day period that I was like, oh my gosh, like she's going to get away with it, you know, because of his testimony. So it was crazy. So who knows with this guy? But apparently because they don't have to say anything. Like, he had to answer the judge's questions. But as far as making an allocution statement, I don't think that he has. I mean, they don't have to do that. I know that because I've been and seen many a murder trials. Oh, you're welcome, GP. Love you. Keep her in your prayers, you guys. A rough day for GP. Hi, Otto man. Yeah, he is an animal. Yeah. Like I said, I wish there was somebody that had more knowledge or influence to be able to see if he killed Stephen Masterson. I really do. I really think he did. Yeah. I think that, like Aspen was saying, I think it's just that, he's in prison, and I don't think he wants word getting out, like the details of as far as like Ray's, what he did to Ray. But I will say that I have, and I have felt this way all along, that it was targeted, intentional murder, premeditated, and everything that the statute of murder 35, like that 3542(1-1 parentheses 1 holds in the state of Indiana. There's no higher thing that you can be charged with in the state of Indiana. And so I've always thought that he and I've always thought it was a hate crime, like to target a man based on his sexual preference on a dating app, and go there and and kill him, and then stage the scene to make it look like something else. But even the notes of the autopsy made it very clear that like this stuff did not happen. And then when I talked with everyone that knew Ray and people that had been in relationships with Ray, and they were like, no, absolutely not. Like, that was not him at all. Like, he would not participate in anything like that. And I had to like be really careful to not to divulge what it was, but just kind of leave it in a broad term. And they were like, no to everything in that whole category. Absolutely not. One guy, like one of his, precious man, I interview him on the podcast. Yeah, they had been together for really like a long time, but they had been friends for, most of their grown life. And so this just was not who Ray was. And for, him to be portrayed that way, and then for the family to have to go through any of that at a trial would be awful, but yeah. Hey, Sharon. So yeah, if anyone has any hey, Chris, last comment, questions or anything, but if not, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, Randy, Crimezilla, and Aspen for jumping on. I appreciate you guys. I don't think I got some of it, but like it was like the weakest court document like I've ever seen. Like, it was like, what is this? There's just like nothing in it. Steps we need to prevent injustice is a showing that all reasonable alternative methods of gaining access to shown a particularized need for the grand jury transcript. So it's basically just denied because you didn't really ask for it, right? But they took the police, so and then motion to transport. I went ahead and got those just because it was like I didn't want to take the time to read the 4 pages. But yeah, like there's the probable cause or the indictment, like I read it to you. Oh, the when you see in the court record where there was a letter from, I don't know, how does it say it in the, I wrote it down. Correspondence to and from the court by Ashley Remuller, a nurse at one of the facilities he was being held at. So it basically is, I'm reaching out to you in regards to Garrett Kirts. Good morning, Judge. I'm reaching out to you in regards to Garrett Kirts. This was filed on December 29th of 2023. Mr. Kirts is requesting to be transported to be seen by an eye doctor due to blurry vision, which is causing the inability to read his legal paperwork. He reports he has had corrective lenses in the past. However, when booked into the White County Jail on September 1st of 2023, he stated no when asked if he had contacts or glasses. Before I am able to proceed with making him an appointment, would you be willing to grant a transport order at this time? At this time, I do not have an appointment date or time due to the transport office being out. However, the appointment will be at Walmart Vision Center in Monticello. Oh my God, can you even imagine? A big murderer walking into Walmart? Sorry, I didn't read this before. Like, oh my God, is that a thing? You can just take a murderer to Walmart and get their eyes checked out and like they'll see them? Is this real? Am I like the only one so shocked by this? Go to the big Walmart in White County. Like, can you imagine? This big orange jumpsuit and shackles. Like, just here for my eye appointment. Having some blurry vision. Get him. You know what? They sell, like, you can order them online and have them delivered straight to Pendleton. It's like some freaking bifocals. Oh my gosh. Walmart Vision Center in Monticello. Holy crap. That's crazy. Don't they have one that goes to the prison? Like, do they do this with other inmates? Like, take murderers to Walmart Vision Center? I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's not funny. Okay, so not to leave you an expense. I did get the next paper. Order for so this is the order for the December 29th regarding correspondence. On December 29th, the court received correspondence from Ashley Remuller, registered nurse at the White County Jail. The court, being duly advised, takes no action on the ex parte communication. The clerk is directed to forward a copy of such correspondence to all parties and counsel of record. So ordered this 29th day of December 2023, year of our Lord. So takes no action means that he didn't get the transport order to Walmart Vision Super Center. Oh my God. Free Walmart advertising. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. I just said I mean that was unexpected. That was very unexpected. So again, much ado about nothing. Just him having some blurry vision. Wanting to go to Walmart to get it checked out. I mean, you've seen a lot. Like, what's that? Where the people of Walmart. I would stalk that Walmart just to see just to record the reactions of people when they walk in in the courthouse, like in a secured courthouse. I'm not, Randy was not exaggerating. Like there was at least 6. And like I said, there were some behind us, there was some on the left of us, some in front of us, some on the right of us. There was a lot of like men in uniform guarding Garrett Kirts. So can you imagine them all rolling up into the Walmart in Monticello? Like I want to look up the Walmart. I'm sorry, not funny, but not funny. Oh, it's not funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Good night, Chris. Thank you for being here. He says to stay hydrated. I need some water. Yeah, they're shackled in like I don't know what it's called, but they go around their feet, and then the feet ones connect to the wrist ones, and so they're all just chained up, like you can't miss him. He's like freaking shaved head, tattoos all over his neck, big orange jumpsuit and chains. Like I cannot even imagine. I'm sorry, I got really tickled. Like, what is going on? Like, what is going on that this nurse would like request this? Where is she from? Like, what? I'm gonna look now. I know I gotta know everything about it. Does it even say? Okay, so yeah, she's at Quality Correctional Care in Monticello. So, this is county, not state. Thank God. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I mean, she's probably just doing her job to like make sure the inmates, rights are not violated by not treating their ailments like blurred vision. But yeah, Monticello is a really small town. So yeah. God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall though. If the judge was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna order it. Let's get him an appointment." Like I've gone to the vision centers at Walmart, like here in Brownsburg, like a few times, and like, I'm just picturing the techs that do most of the work, or the eye doctor, like having to deal with this like chained up person, and I'm sure they're given, his name. I'm sure they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like they Google him. It's like a double murder, like a serial killer. In the Walmart. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. This is not funny. But yeah, it's like, oh, just serial killer in the local Walmart, up here in Monticello, just getting his blurred vision checked out. Like that is nuts. That's nuts. Okay, I'm glad you're laughing, Cheer. I'm glad you're laughing, Chair. I would hate to like offend any of you or your family over my little oh, this used to happen to me when I was young and I would get so I got called to the pulpit like so many times. I would get tickled over something in the pews, and like it just was like I couldn't help. I would just laugh, and then the preacher, like, I mean, it happened to me at least a couple times at just like one church. They're like calling me out by my name, like, "Come up here, you're gonna laugh like you just got the giggles," like, oh my gosh. There is a private door to the eye doctor on the outside of the building at the local Walmart in Monticello. Because the one in Brownsburg doesn't have. You have to go in the main 2 entrances to get into that mofo. Like it doesn't have like a back door because it's in the very front of the whole building. So like you would know. I don't know. Like that's just like I don't know. I just like that's just weird to me that they would go anywhere like other than in a transfer bus. like to and from like the courthouse, from the jail. Like I can't imagine them even stopping to get gas, like, you know, with an inmate in the van. Like, soda, books, I think he's a serial killer just because I think he did have something to do with, in my opinion, Stephen Masterson. So that's, you know, but according to the FBI, like they changed it. It's two or more with a cooling off period. So it doesn't even need to be over 3 anymore to be categorized as a serial killer. And there's much to debate about Garrett Kirts, whether he would be categorized as a spree versus a serial. I mean, I would say serial because there is no like time frame that has to go by, just a cooling off period. So you have March 13th to March 29th. But yeah, like that's just blows my mind. That just really, really blows my mind. Oh, the crazy parking lot is such a risk. Well, I didn't even think about the parking lot. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh, can you imagine just the van like popping in? White County Jail, U.S. Marshals, White County Sheriff's Department jump out, open the doors for the shackled, bald-headed, tattooed like guy to go in. I don't care what door. Poor people that work there. Oh my gosh. Like they're like, I didn't sign up for this. I work at Walmart. Like I don't work at the jail. Like, I would leave. I would be like, I'm clocking out for the day. If this is what we're about here at this eye center, I am going home. I am not going to be a part of this. Yeah, they will buy killer's glasses. I just thought that they went like eye doctors or like any type of like anything like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive. I just thought that they went somewhere inside the facility. But then again, you think of like a burst appendix. Like, where do you take an inmate with a burst appendix? I mean, they probably got to go to the hospital. I don't know. But it's just like making an appointment for him to go to the local Walmart. Like, can they refuse? You know, like, can they, like, under like HIPAA or whatever, like, can they refuse to see him? I don't know. So many questions. What's up, Daisy? Did she find out? Was Nicole killed for being quiet about Ray? They can't refuse. Wow. Well, you know what? I bet those underpaid employees sure could refuse to clock in that day. Man, that's crazy. By like what I was able to deduce with putting together my very anal timeline as far as like their criminal, what was available on like my case and the other one, I can't remember the name of it, in Indiana, and then their Facebooks and speaking with family and everything like that. And then some of people reached out to me that knew the offenders, the delinquents, like I like to call them. And so putting all that together, I think that it was clear that there was something really bothering Nicole. Like it stuck out to them as well because there's kind of an unexpected communication, you know, with her sister and with her aunt, GP, who's in the chat, you know, and like they're, even Cheryl talks about, state police coming to her house, trying to find her, wanting to interview her over something. She was in the car with Garrett. So I think there's a high possibility that I don't think anyone was involved in Ray's murder except for Garrett. There was no, like, to set the record straight on that too. I have said it straight for years now, but the homeless couple was not Garrett or Ashley or Garrett or Nicole. It was a whole nother person. And actually, the girl that helped me, who knew that couple, had met them, was there today. That couple has been identified, and they are they're just another couple that took advantage of Ray. And yes, they did horrible things to him, but it's not the same story. So Garrett, I think he acted completely alone. I think there were probably people that knew after the fact. And it was obvious by the state of disarray in his home that they had thrown a big old party. They didn't have cigarettes. Ray didn't smoke in his house. Flippy cups and bullets and cell phones. And the only person that I am pretty confident was not there, based on her reaction to the conversation that she released on her Facebook, was indicative to me that she knew nothing about any of that. I don't think she was there at all. As far as the rest of the delinquents and possibly Nicole, I could see that. Hiddle, I could definitely see that. I don't think Mathis, I don't think that they really had any kind of relationship that much with Mathis. The drug world is kind of different than just a normal world where you have friends, and I don't know. I think that, like what she had said to her sister and what she said to GP, just really kind of stuck out to me and all of us, really, of something was weighing on her. But as far as what was admitted by Garrett Kirts in the murder of Nicole Bowen, there's I think that it was a I think she was killed for multiple reasons. I think that it's, how do I say this the right way? The whole Palladino, Beckley, but Beckley not being charged with at least conspiracy has always hit me wrong, and I know it's hit the family wrong too. We've never thought that they weren't more involved. They should have all been charged with murder, every single one of them, because in the state of Indiana, literally, Ashley Garth, from her own words, if you go and just listen into her 2 interrogations, she vehemently denies being any part of Nicole's murder. But in the state of Indiana, we all know that you do not have to be the one that actually takes the last breath of the person to be a murderer. And that's exactly what Ashley Garth is. And this whole campaign is going to backfire on her, and it's going to be hilarious. Not hilarious. It's going to be exactly what she deserves, because she's remorseful. A parole board is going to want to see that. And I already have the flash drive ready to go for the parole board in however many years. I need to figure that out and put a date on it in case I die, because it's going to literally, I'm so passionate about this. It will be in my will, on this date, you need to send this envelope with these flash drives to the parole board for Ashley Garth, because they need to know that in the year of our Lord 2023 and 2024, she was on YouTube, just touting her innocence, and they don't want to hear that you're innocent. When you are convicted, they want to hear you take steps to better your life, and then be remorseful and repentant, which means you have to admit that you did it, So that'll be something. I wonder if she found out. And so you've got Ashley Garth literally opens with, she was my rival. I wanted to beat her up, so I think that was a huge aspect of it. And that was what we initially heard, was that it was a, kind of this like love triangle type of deal. I mean, that made sense, but we thought that there was like a secondary, and that secondary motive was she knew about Ray and was silenced because she was going to talk. And I think that my theory was that while Ashley had nothing to do with even being present or knowing at any time during, but they did get back together, obviously, after he battered her and strangled her. So was it something that was it like a, well, I hate her anyway. She is my rival. She called her rival. So did they set out to, like, this is insensitive to say, but I'm lacking the word right now, kill two birds with one stone, if that makes sense. But then, we find out later that there's this whole meeting, thing with the drugs, and I don't know. It was just odd. I think that I don't think that I felt like there was sufficient evidence for the conspiracy based on what was seen at the jury trial, but I don't understand why there wasn't anyone else charged. I mean, I know why Garrett wasn't. He took a plea deal, which wasn't some kind of a big, it's the same thing he did with Ray. He's not, the sentencing guidelines, it's a recommended 55 years. So 45 years to 55 years, unless there are aggravating circumstances that the prosecutor would have to apply for a death penalty case, or a life without the possibility of parole. Otherwise, the recommended guidelines is 45 to 65 years. So 55 years is smack dab right in the middle, and it is the recommended sentence under the Indiana guidelines. And most judges literally, they follow that, So 55 years is not a deal at all. It's not a deal in exchange for a testimony that he's gotten anything. The death penalty was not on the table. And that may have been frustrating for Drinsky, because if he had have been charged and convicted of Ray's, the chronological order of Ray's murder, then they may have had a death penalty case. But you have to have the aggravating circumstance, have to weigh out the mitigating. And when you got to think about Garrett Kirts, I know this sounds like pretty frivolous, but his age, being 21 at the time of these murders, would be a mitigating factor. Never not having committed a serious violent felony, even though I believe that the batteries, strangulation is obviously a lead up to that. You'd be hard pressed to get the court to, and then considering it never even went anywhere. I don't think it needed to, because he took a plea, so they didn't need to, convict him of I mean, Of course, you want to see that for any victim, and Ashley Garth was a victim of him. Do I believe that she is innocent? Absolutely not. Do I believe that she scares me more than Garrett Kirts? She really does. She is not what she's pretending to be. I'll tell you that right now. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. That girl is calculated and so I can't think of the right word of just like unabashed, just like I don't know. That's my opinion, and I have had that opinion since the first time I saw her at a court hearing. And when she came to court with the big cornrows and flipped her head around, the whole chair, flipped her head around to look at the family and smirk, look them dead in the eye and smirk, because she knew she was getting out on bond. And they didn't even know that was an option, but she knew that day that they were going to give her a bond. And for her to do that, to come in looking the way she did, purposefully, and to flip her whole chair around, like literally a spinning chair, like literally take her chair and do one of these to stare at the family standing, they're literally 2 arm lengths away from her. Okay. And she flips her chair around and stares at them and smirks, and then flips her head back to look forward. And then the judge, everyone comes in, and literally the Detective Rowe, he thinks he's going to the witness stand because it's a meaningful bond. And in Indiana, okay, like this has been going around, like there is no bond on murder in Indiana, but a defense can request a meaningful bond hearing to where the burden is now, I think it started in 2017, the burden is on the prosecution to prove that a reasonable jury of the defendant's peers would find them guilty if this case were to go to trial. And if the prosecution can prove that, then there's no bond. But if, like in Ashley Garth's case, she was given a bond, even though she was charged with murder, because the prosecutor didn't want to try the case before an actual trial, didn't want to give away his strategy, didn't want to give away, so it's a double-edged sword. So yes, Richard Allen's, I'm flipped over to Delphi for a second, then I've got to go. Bond hearing being turned into a suppression hearing, being turned into what was the Frank's thing, the Frank's motion. Yeah, that's not adding up because they could, like, what was in that discovery that they changed their mind, and that bond hearing just didn't became something else, because they sure could have. That is within a defendant's right in the state of Indiana to have a meaningful bond hearing. You can look it up yourself. And then the prosecutor, they would have to schedule a hearing, and the prosecutor would have to be the burden of proof would lie on him. When it used to, I think prior to 2017, it was the burden of proof was on the defendant. But they changed that, and for good reason. It should have always been on the prosecution. You have a presumption of innocence. I know that's, yeah, neither here nor there, but yeah. So, yeah. Often see judge consider guilty plea more lenient than trial sentencing. What are your thoughts there? Judges usually, they fall in line. Like, they don't usually go outside of either at a trial, when a jury has to, the two parts of find the defendant guilty or not guilty or mistrial. And then they also are given the responsibility, I think, every time of the sentence. Well, no, might not be right. That might just be, I know that's the case in death penalty cases. But usually, like, whatever the jury recommends, like there's a recommendation from the jury or the prosecution, and judges usually follow in line with that. I am not, like, it is an exception to a rule to have a judge, like, I've seen it though. I mean, we saw it with Ashley Garth. And the judge was like, no, the plea was like, it was, I'm so, like, it was like, it was unacceptable, really. But when it's not grossly out of proportion to the crime, like 55 years, so smack dab in the middle of the Indiana guidelines for this statute. Okay, so it's not out of, he's gonna. I'm confident that he will. He's already accepted the plea. Why do you lie? Oh, Toby Garth, you were there. You were there. You know that you saw exactly what I saw. You know that you saw your daughter acting a fool the whole week of that trial. Like, I don't know. I know that's your daughter and you have blinders on. And I just hope that you keep in mind that if she's ever going to get out on parole, this is not going to play out well, But you don't get accused. You don't get to come in my chat and accuse me of lying, because we were in the same courtroom. And I know in your heart, that I'm not lying at all. But, I know your daughter led you around that whole 5 days with like a little chain, like a chain around your guys' neck. And to me, I felt like you guys looked embarrassed of the way she acted and the way she was just so unabashed. Just, I know that Case Global is portraying her as some kind of like demure little mouse that's just so, shy and timid, but you know better. I've talked to some of your other family members who have a very different story to say about your daughter and the way you acted in court. I mean, there's just no way that you could misinterpret her actions. I think her best bet would have been to do things like get a college degree, which, Nicole's just in the ground, never to do anything again. At least she has opportunities in her life. And she should just be grateful for that. And she should serve out her sentence and apply for parole, And parole boards want to see remorse and admittance. They don't want to see murderers get on YouTube to rally the troops. And it's illegal to raise funds for a murderer's attorneys. Just FYI on that. Yeah. Cavalier. That's a good word, Freckle Joy. Yeah. All right, guys. We're out of here. Great day. Justice for Ray. Sure, like I said earlier, because of what's going on with Ashley Garth and this whole YouTube with Case Global, this is the reason why I am pro plea deals, because when you cannot appeal your admittance of guilt, and what the families have to go through after a jury trial when they think it's finally over. They've waited for this person to be caught, for however many long years it takes. I mean, there's cases being solved that are 65 years old now because of investigative genealogy, and these families that have waited long, long times, and then through the adjudication process, which is torture on them, all of the hearings and all of the dates and the jury trial itself with information that no parent wants to hear. And then immediately upon sentencing is the petition for the first appeal. It can happen literally right after the judge sends the defendant, you know, and then you start into the appeal and then the post-conviction relief, and it just goes on and on. And then before you know it, they're up for parole, you know, and like they get no reprieve, you know, and then you have someone, right fighter, come along and take up their cause that if she was really going to do it the right way, we would not be hearing her opinion whatsoever. You know, her opinion would be nowhere in any of it. She would read the transcripts with answering minimal questions, like legal questions only. And she would show the unedited, no talking at all, no opinion inserted. If she really thought that Ashley Garth was innocent, then we would not be hearing and happen to be tortured the family. And I watch it because I love them, with 3-hour-long lives with mostly opinion, and Ashley Garth's telling her stuff like we're supposed to believe her, you know, and excusing the fact that she lied in her interrogations while condemning everyone else because they lied in their interrogations. Make that make sense? It doesn't. No, I have never met her. I've talked to quite a few people there, and I got, let's see, 2019. Man, there was hardly a hearing that I missed. I don't think you were at all of them, but I was at a lot of her hearings, and so this was like an opinion gathered over time. But that main one that did it for me was watching her. Maybe you weren't there, maybe you didn't see it, but there was plenty of witnesses that were sitting there in that courtroom when Ashley Garth knew that she was getting out on bond, which the family didn't even know that was a thing, that a murder, there's no bond on murder in Indiana, right? Because no one from the prosecutor's office even bothered to tell them. So they were completely shocked. But Ashley knew. And like I said, like, to watch her intentionally take her chair, sit down, plop down, take her chair. I know you saw her do that during the trial, plopping and flopping about and trying to angrily leave the courtroom. And walking right past the family, you know, when she could have just kind of gone another way. But no, it's Ashley. So she's like barrels through the whole family when they're like standing by their cars. I have a very good memory, and I remember the way she acted. And I have stood up for her on the things she did not do repeatedly from the beginning. And I've tried to squash all the dumb rumors with her and Delphi. But when it comes to the killing of Nicole, your daughter participated and she helped, and she is a murderer just the same as he is. And if you look up in the statute in Indiana, like whoever took her last breath, that's Garrett. But your daughter is just as culpable for her murder. She was there through it all, and her own admissions in her interrogations is what did her in, and that's what did her in with the jury. You know, I am telling the truth. I mean, and what does that mean? You don't know who I talked to, and I'm not going to name them. But it doesn't matter to hear her voice. I have heard like whiny act, you know, basically just like a grown woman throwing temper tantrums. There's other witnesses to this as well. Like, I'm not the only one. But I have been consistent in my memory. If you go back to the in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and now 2024, it's all been the same. And it is an impression, and it's my impression. And again, your daughter is just showing how she has zero regard for her victim's family by what she's doing with Case Global on YouTube. You know, like, she's not remorseful for what she did. She's saying she's innocent, you know, but, you know, I am telling the truth, and you know it deep down in your heart. You know what she did in that court. You know how embarrassing she was. Like, I felt bad for you guys. And I say that, if you go back and listen, I say that. Like, I felt bad for them because they're just like following her around, you know, because it's so weird to see a murderer being out and just being able to like walk out of the courtroom on a recess and then decide to she could have taken a different path, but no. So that all of those little things that she did that built up, that gave me an opinion of her. And then to have it backed up by some people that, you know, like, I don't think I'm wrong. And neither did the jury, neither did the judge, neither did the appeals, you know, the Supreme Court. But okay. All right. Good night, everyone. Justice for Ray. I'm so glad that, you know, by February 20th, the family gets to give their impact statements, and we'll see what Garrett says. We will say. Yeah, you're right. No. You mean Case Global? No, she doesn't give the truth. She gives an opinion. You think I give an opinion? Like, if you go back and listen, like, I am way more objective than she would ever even know how to be. I mean, she has injected her opinion to influence the audience from the very get. And if you really wanted to present a case for, say, someone that could really make a difference, like, I don't know, the Innocence Project lawyer, like actual lawyers that could take over the post-conviction relief, since she already lost the first appeal. Case Global is not doing it the right way. It's a very biased way. So if you really, if she really believed in her innocence, then it would just be data. It would be present the interrogations in their chronological order without commentary, and the transcripts and other court documents and police reports in their entirety without commentary, without any kind of emotional pull on the audience, anything of the such. That's how you would present a case to get people to believe in the innocence or guilt, because she says that she wants people to come to their own conclusions, but that conclusion is being manipulated by her and her panelists and you guys throughout the entire thing. And that is blatantly obvious to anyone that watches it. So that's what I have to say about that. You didn't approach me. Oh, you're NB. No, people can literally go and see that I'm telling the truth about Case Global. There's hours and hours of lives and videos to prove my point. I have hundreds of clips to prove my point. Like, it's, you know, their own actions and words is why I am saying all of this stuff. I'm not just pulling it out of my ass. Yeah, I get that. And see, like, the grace of Nicole's family, you know, more graceful than I. And that's why, you know, when we were talking earlier with Aspen, like, they're really true heroes for her and Cheryl, just to, you know, to see that other perspective. Because in all honesty, if I was Toby, and that was my daughter, I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't be doing anything and everything and trying to get anyone and everyone to help me in my cause. Like, I know this sounds Like, because a parent has an unconditional love for their child, or they should, and it's unnatural if they don't. But I honestly, I don't know what I've heard. This is one thing that was like, it did hurt. It did hurt to hear. Peggy, Ashley's grandmother, and I believe it was her dad, Toby, who encouraged or told her, do the right thing, go turn yourself in right now. And I that had to have been the hardest, thing that they were did. And then I'm sure there's like regrets on that, and if she would have gone in there with a lawyer, or maybe she wouldn't have said some of the things in her interrogation, but her interrogations are, both of them pretty, she didn't do anything to help herself, like it just did, well, but I don't know. I've thought about this, and I know that they've said that in the chat. I don't know if they've actually I've actually heard them voice it, but Case Global has said that on their behalf, and I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to do it. Like, I don't know it, but I do understand, the love of a parent. It's unconditional. And I have 2 daughters. If they were to kill someone, I would want to believe in their innocence wholeheartedly. And even if I didn't, there's nothing like, I would be there at every chance I got. There's just nothing that your child can do under the sun to make you unlove them. That's the only unconditional love that we know in this world, is a parent to a child. And, while I don't agree, and I do understand, and B is right. I would be doing the same thing. She would be doing the same thing. And you have to kind of have an attitude like they do, where my knee-jerk reaction is to be an asshole, because yeah, I don't care for Case Global at all. And my passion is, I do love Cheryl and the rest of Nicole's family, and I hate to see how tortured they have been, and for Nicole's boys, how much they have had to endure and go through. It's just heartbreaking. And then along with Miss Dottie and Cher and Roxy and all the rest, I mean, Ray has a huge family. To see them being taken advantage of, it makes me very upset. And to being like emotionally re-traumatized, re-victimized over and over again, week after week. It's hard, and I don't have a good temper. Why do you keep saying things that never happened? I'm not saying things that never happened, and liars can't keep their story straight. So if you want to accuse me of being a liar, that's your right. But your opinion of me is, it's really not important. Yeah. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have participated. Okay, say she is innocent. What the? Fork, does Nicole's autopsy and toxicology report have to do with her innocence? Yeah. 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 And so much other stuff. Into like, I don't care how many black boxes you put on stuff. Like, why don't you try to imagine if that was Ashley Garth laying there in that freaking blind? You know? What would that be like for you to have some YouTuber putting that out there, whether there's a black box on it or not, you know, like seeing your daughter's feet and legs taped together and shown to all of YouTube when no one even we didn't even see that, you know, that was kept from the people that attended the public trial, you know, because of sensitivity. Do I hear some rude BS nonsense happening in here? Mel, do you want me to do anything? No, you're good. It's Ashley Garth's dad. It's understandable. It's understandable, you know. MB's right. But I stand by what I say, and, you know, I saw it with my own eyes. You know, what I have thought would be interesting is there was other people there besides him. I'll have to call. I'd have to figure out a way to get a hold of Sweatpants Guy, because I know he was there. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm going to say no more than Sweatpants Guy. And then, but Greeno was there. And we had the exact same impression of the way that she acted at the when we found out she was going to be given a bond. But since he's a POS and I have went on a whole part of my channel is calling out YouTubers and podcasters that don't belong anywhere in the true crime community. It'd be interesting to see what that little liar has to say now. See if he stands by what he said and wrote back then versus now, especially considering he made her intro. The freaking irony. Oh my gosh. But on that note, everybody, Johnny Chaotic. Okay, just wanted to check with you because of the name, but you know how I am with you and your channel. I know I love you. But you know, I got myself. I'm always fine. I'm always good. I can take it. So, Anon, hello. Yeah, glad Ray's family got justice. I hope they can find some peace. R.I.P. Ray. Prayers, yes. Yes, for sure. It's painful for her family too, and Garrett's. Yeah, there was nobody. I can't, and that was like, I'm sorry. I can't, and that, like, I can't imagine not being there. Like, even just to say, like, we're proud, like, to show, like, we're your parents unconditionally, you know, like to have no one there on, like, his mom, his dad, brother, like nobody. Like, I don't know if his grandparents are still living, but like, that's sad, you know. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would be there. I would be there at every little court thing ever, you know. But I think it would be hard to encourage your child to turn themselves in, you know. That would be hard. And for that, I have like respect for Toby and her grandmother for doing that. I know my dad would do that because I asked him. He was like, if I committed murder, even if it was to like protect someone, and it was like, you know, like some kind of, you know, like, not that there's any murder that could be like viewed as good, but he was like, absolutely not. I will turn you in myself. I'm like, Dad. He's like, I'm still gonna love you and I'll come and visit you, but I'm not gonna help you get away with murder. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gathering opinions, you know, I'm just gathering, like, trying to make my own little spreadsheet here. So my own dad would be turning me right in, but I don't know that I would find it. I think that would be very hard. It would be a very moral like dilemma, and I'm not sure that I would land on the right side of it. Not when it comes to my two girls, you know, especially if they were going to give me any reason to believe in them, in their innocence, or the fact that they were in a, you know, really bad situation and didn't know how to proceed. You know, like I would, that'd be tough. All right, guys. Good night. Thank you for everyone that participated and for all of you that gave a super chat. That was very nice of you. And my tank was on E, so I'll go get some gas next month with the YouTube. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.